the Stock Car Spectacle. I'm Ian Jortson.
I'm Tom Hovland.
And Tom, oh my God, we just came back from a wild weekend at Talladega Super Speedway. So I gotta ask you, how was your first trip to Talladega?
When I got back, I was talking to my brother a little bit. And usually when you go on a vacation, you take a week off from work. You always get back and you feel like, oh man, it was too soon. Like I didn't feel like I had enough time. I didn't feel like I spent it quite right. But I said to him yesterday, I just had the most incredible trip and I still have a couple days to decompress. I don't go back to work till, I guess this morning here, Wednesday morning here. And so I felt like it was just the perfect amount of time. Great experience overall. They put on a hell of a party down in Alabama, and they put on some excellent racing at Talladega.
Yep, that's for sure. I'm glad I got to show you the ropes. There's definitely a lot of things that I don't think we can talk about on this show from some of the things that we have seen. But once you go to Talladega, you will understand that.
We'll leave that to people's imaginations. How about that?
Exactly. But let's get into it with our diecasts of the week. Tom, what you got for us today, buddy?
I didn't get to show it off last week because I was away from home, but something that came in the mail that I was really excited for. It's see our rookie stripes on here. It's a rookie FedEx Denny Hamlin that I found on eBay. It's cool. It reminds me of early on. Wasn't a huge NASCAR fan when he started showing up. I mean, I've been watching since I was in diapers. I guess I just didn't really appreciate everything that this car was able to do at the time. Sweeping the Pocono races, first of all, it's wild. So, and it's cool to see. It's cool to just have this piece of where he started versus where he is now.
It looks like is that a color chrome?
No, I think it may just be the reflections of everything. My favorite decal on some of these better produced diecasts is that the tires still have stickers on them. I think that's really funny.
Oh, that's cool.
That's funny. I have a couple like that. But
yeah, they went way into detail back then, man. And back then, those diecasts were like heavy. Like you could knock someone out with those things.
Yeah. I mean, you can use a lot of things to knock somebody out, but
yeah. All right. So for my diecast of the week, don't really have anything Kevin Harvick related for the Roval, and I used my Talladega diecast last weekend. So I'm bringing out my favorite, I think, Kevin Harvick paint scheme that he's ran in the past 10 years. And that's his Gravedigger paint scheme that he ran at Nashville 2 years ago on Father's Day. I mean, such a cool ass paint scheme. I mean, they made it look just like the monster truck too. So they did a great job with that. And and they just announced another Father's Day race for Iowa Speedway next year. So pretty cool.
Iconic look right there.
Absolutely.
You just hope that the windshield is fastened.
Oh man. You're swinging early, ain't you, buddy? Kicking me when I'm down.
Yeah. At least he didn't win and have that taken away.
Yeah.
You would have felt way worse.
Yeah, that would have been a lot worse. But let's get into our top stories, Tom. Big one that came out a couple days ago. The Indy Oval is coming back next year for the 30th anniversary of the Brickyard 400. Wow, I can't believe it has been that long. But everyone's been asking for it. The Indy Road Course has gone a little stale after the past couple of years, and we get to see what these next gen cars get to do on the Indy Oval at the Brickyard, the most iconic track in racing history. So cool to be back.
Yeah, I'm excited for it. I was one of those people calling for it, but this last road course race was incredible. So, some people are a little upset, some people are excited. I'm excited because again, this car on a big oval is great, but somebody pointed out to me over the weekend when I made a similar comment. They said, well, this car sucks on flat tracks. So we're gonna have to see. Hopefully there's enough room to make some space and do something fun out there. But again, hopefully the fans show up not only for the anniversary but for the return. I'd like to see them do an alternating sort of deal. Always keep it fresh.
Well, I know it would be hard to do for the same weekend, probably impossible. But I think how it should be is the Brickyard Oval is just so iconic. I think you need to be in the top pinnacle series of the sport to run that. I think the Xfinity series should run the Roval, and then trucks, they already run IRP. I think that's how it should be for Indy for NASCAR. I know that's asking for a lot, but
Yeah,
I
that's
think
that's a
that's
lot. I
yeah.
mean, you think I'm just thinking one small logistic of that is all the caution lights because they go one direction in the oval and the other direction on the road course. You got to flip all those around, move a bunch of barriers, paint a bunch of lines, and then
Hmm.
scrub them all off afterwards. It's a fantastic thought, but I think that will be slid into the pipe dreams category.
Yeah, I definitely feel you on that. I knew I was asking for a little too much.
Uh-huh.
A
Mm-hmm.
man can dream, can he?
Yeah, of course. Of course.
All right, and also announced, I just mentioned a little while ago, but Iowa Speedway is going to be getting a Cup Series date next season. They haven't raced at all this season. They've had the Xfinity Series and Truck Series run there multiple times in the past, and I've been there before. I thought it was a great facility. I said this place is ready for Cup Series racing, and they listened 5 years later, and we're going racing in the Corn State. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
It just adds another short track to the schedule for NASCAR,
And
and
it's a bit of a unique short track too.
mm-hmm,
It's not your typical paperclip or just oval shape. You get like a tiny intermediate speedway
mm-hmm,
in there. But
yeah,
IndyCar does has been doing a doubleheader there for a couple of years now, and the fans have showed out. The even the celebrities have showed out. They had Ed Sheeran headlining it this year. So um, again, if you can get the people to show up, these track promoters will want to put on a good show. So hopefully that Iowa Speedway can draw in the crowds again, and as the Cup Series come into town should.
yeah, I think so. I mean, brings in it's a whole new market for the Cup Series now, so it's really cool to see that.
Yeah, and it's interesting to kind of see how this schedule release is developing. We've been told for weeks and weeks that that stuff was going to be out, and it's not out. It's looking like this week, maybe even later today or tomorrow, that we could get it. But it's interesting to see. And my thought on the schedule, they want to get butts and seats. They got to keep rotating these tracks through, and it's not like, oh, this track. It's we don't want to kill off a track. We don't want a Kentucky Speedway per se where we never go back. But if there's always that idea that it could come back and we rotate, we don't have to go to, I don't know, Kansas every year. We don't have to go to Michigan every year, but to know that it'll come back, I think that'll keep the seats full and the racing interesting just because they're changing up the schedule.
Yeah, I that's something where I think that would take a lot too, because you have, contracts with tracks, and
Right.
the TV deal wants certain tracks on these certain
Right.
times. So yeah, that's another thing that I would love to see happen. We get to see new tracks,
Mm-hmm.
but I think you're thinking like me, man. We just want a little too much with
Yeah.
this sport.
Yeah. And I get that there's a whole lot of legal side in anything that you try to
Mm,
delve into and want to change up a little bit that you have no clue. There's probably 16 times as much legalese as I care to even worry about in my
yeah.
day-to-day life
All
for
right.
all of this stuff.
Yeah, it's got to be a huge process, but hey, we're bringing in new tracks. It seems like
Mm-hmm.
almost every year we are getting a new track to the schedule. I mean, this year we got the Chicago Street Race. Next year we're getting Iowa. I can't wait to see what 2025 is going to be like.
Did you see Joe Gibbs Racing today, or I guess yesterday afternoon? Uh, they uh, they tweeted out they leaked the schedule, so to speak,
Hmm.
with instead of like Daytona being the regular season finale, they said it was a figure eight. They said that Rainbow Road was going to be in March, and it just a bunch of jokes. As they're all
Yeah.
everybody's anxious to get that schedule out so they can start getting those plans laid out.
Yeah. I saw something like that.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty funny. All right, and some big news as well. Spire Motorsports bought Kyle Busch Motorsports. Kyle Busch finally said adios to the team, which you and me were talking a lot. It seems to make sense. He signed with Richard Childress Racing, which is an hour away from his KBM shop. He's gonna have to move all over the place, especially with Brexton Racing. It's just way too much for him. So hey, he made some money off of that. So
For sure, for
can't be
sure.
too mad about that.
That's not me applauding. That's me making it rain because
Mhm.
you got I. This is just my own speculation. Obviously, can't break anything here. We're not proper journalists for a bit, But I just got to imagine that there were some talks about it, and they wanted to meet with him, and they dropped a number on there, and he probably just went like, okay, yeah, I'll sell it. Why
Hmm.
not? So yeah, it's I'm kind of sad about it. I mean, I always loved watching Kyle race in the truck series, even as he got older, and have that connection, and see him invest back into the sport that he made his money off of, and made his notoriety off of, and that's going to go away for a bit. And it's just like, I'll feel a little bit less connected to the truck series um next year, I guess. But I guess that's why FRM pulled me in.
Yeah, right. Maybe.
Yeah.
But Kyle started an empire. I mean,
Mhm.
he started up so many drivers' careers. I mean, look at Eric Jones, William Byron, Christopher Bell. The list goes on and on with how many drivers that Kyle Busch has helped
Right.
kickstart their career, basically. So sucks to see it go, but man, he put a dent
Hmm.
into this truck series. I mean, winningest team in
Yeah.
NASCAR Truck Series history.
In just like 10
Then they
years
just
too.
yeah, and they just
It
hit
didn't take too
100
long.
wins. Yeah,
Hmm.
Kyle Busch got their 100th win. What was that at Pocono?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
so and that's it's just perfect. It was a perfect season ending for Kyle Busch Motorsports. Yeah, maybe they're full-time drivers, didn't get
Hmm.
the wins that he wanted, but he got that 100th win to cap it off for his team and made a lot of money doing it. And yeah, just look back at the memories and see all these drivers turned cup and they're winning Cup Series races. They're competing for championships now. Kyle's just got a big old smile on his face that,
Yeah. And
yeah,
reports say he's going to stay on as a consultant. They say he's going to drive, still do his 5 races.
yeah.
Sounds like. And just what's interesting is that Spire's going to move out of their shop, which is Alan Kowicki's old shop. And they're going to move their now 3 truck teams, because they have 2 Kyle Busch Motorsports and the one that was being built out of Hendrick. Move
Mm-hmm.
those to the shop, and their 3 cup teams. So 3 truck teams, 3 cup teams going to be coming out of the Kyle Busch Motorsports stable. And Kyle Busch will still be involved as a consultant. Who knows how long that'll last?
Yeah.
Um, Hopefully that every time he wants to drive a truck race, they will be able to accommodate that.
I mean, I wouldn't say no to have Kyle drive one of my trucks.
Mhm.
That's for sure. I mean, you want to win? Put Kyle in there, man.
Right, for sure, for sure. And again, with how much money Spire's spending recently, you'd think that those trucks are going to be quite competitive.
Yeah, I wouldn't have thought just 4 or 5 years ago when this team started and they came in and Justin Haley got that one-off win. I was like, what the hell is this poverty team doing in NASCAR, taking away wins from Kurt Busch? They're not even competitive. They're dog shit. They're always
Yeah.
5 laps down at the end of the race. And now they're actually becoming something to look out for, something that's going to be comparable to
Hmm.
like Trackhouse or 2311. Like it's scary.
Yeah, and it was even like 2 years ago, they were telling Corey LaJoie in cup races that he couldn't drive as hard as he wanted because they didn't have the funds
Mm-hmm.
to fix the car if it wrecked or whatnot. So they were kind of tugging on his leash a little bit. Now Corey LaJoie basically doesn't even have a collar on anymore. He's just free running. So it's really cool to see how far they've come.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's for sure. So cool to see that for Spire. Cool to see that for Kyle Busch as well. So let's talk a little bit of action from this weekend. Matt Crafton received a $25,000 fine from his actions involved in the fight with Nick Sanchez this weekend. And Nick Sanchez received a $5,000 fine for his use of threatening to kill Matt Crafton, which I mean, I don't blame him. The dude just got attacked, but we don't know the full story. We don't know if Matt Crafton actually tapped him
Allegedly.
on the shoulder and sucker punched him, but we do know that Matt Crafton was waiting in the garage area for him afterwards. He was wearing his street clothes so he could blend in, so that's why he got the bigger fine, is because he
Yeah,
was already wrecked out. He had time to kind of cool down and he still let his anger get ahead of him.
right.
47-year-old man just going over and attacking a 22-year-old doesn't really show much maturity in my eyes.
What this penalty specifically tells me is that NASCAR did their a suitable investigation, that they, in their eyes, felt pretty sure that one story went one way, but they still aren't quite sure about the full picture. And you have on video that even if it was very reactionary, he said he was going to kill him in Homestead, Sanchez to Crafton.
Mm-hmm.
It's they can't let that just float in the air. Again, this is going to take a couple weeks to pan out, to cool down, because again, we don't have the trucks next week at the Roval. So I think everything will cool down. I think everything will be fine. What the thing that still baffles me about this, and it seems that a lot of the industry is agreeing with this, is that first of all, this was a super speedway incident. It's not like
Mm-hmm.
this. So this was a short track fight for a super speedway incident. Nobody's trying to wreck at 180 miles an hour. And also it's like, it's just, this is what happens at these types of track. But also, like you said, this is a 47-year-old. He's been in this series for 20 something years racing. He's basically, I mean, not since it started, but he's been a staple there for
It
years.
feels like it, yeah.
And I guess to make the stick and ball comparison, this is double A baseball. This is new guys coming up, learning the ropes. This is a rookie in the series. One of the first, he hasn't done more than 10 races on this type of racetrack.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have a cooler head even before you get undressed and change and wait around for him. This is, you'd expect a veteran of the series to come up to him, put his hand on his shoulder, grab him by the back of the neck, like the Dale Earnhardt used to do or something. Be like,
Right.
hey, here's what you need to do differently, because that's not cool. Because that will send a way better message than getting a good, it'll make you feel better to connect with a punch, sure. But you look at all the hate he's gotten over on social media and whatnot. Again, we'll probably never know the true story because the witnesses are Nick Sanchez's family and Matt Crafton's team. So like, and we have the
Yeah.
one video after it already started.
Yeah.
So this guy, this veteran of the sport needs to be a veteran, be a caretaker. He can't be going in throwing live grenades like this. It's just, I think this penalty is more than fair. I
Yeah.
wouldn't have even been upset to see Crafton suspended for the Miami race. It would have solved the problem of Nick Sanchez going out and trying to kill him.
Right.
Who knows what happens if they scuffle at Homestead anyways, but I think this penalty is fair, and that's about that.
Yeah. I mean, I think this just kind of reminds me of like the downfall of what was Johnny Sauter. I mean, if you remember like a couple years ago at Iowa, I think he was racing with Brett Moffitt when Johnny Sauter just took him out on purpose. And
Mm-hmm.
just because Moffitt was racing hard or he made a mistake or something, and then Johnny Sauter just let his anger get ahead of him because it's just a young kid that made a mistake. And Johnny Sauter is another guy who was in the series since the beginning, and he just let his
Right.
just anger get ahead of him. And look at him now. He went part-time racing, and now he's not even racing anymore. So I don't know.
For
I think
sure.
these
For
old
sure.
guys in the truck series, they just get way too heated for something that just happens because you have inexperienced drivers.
Yeah, it was just
It's
a
a
weird.
shame to see because you would think that these guys would be like a mentor.
Oh yeah, and the way that Sanchez came out of that scuffle, it looks like he had his whole nose caved in, let alone just slightly broken. Like
Yeah.
it looked ugly.
You know,
Um,
Dalton said it best. He looked like the Scream mask with all the
yeah,
blood coming down.
yeah. So it looked ugly. So, but again, I don't think that Nick Sanchez responded properly, and that's another unfortunate learning experience he'll have to take. And again, $5,000 is chump change, even in the truck series. So
Yeah, especially when that two truck is getting that Andretti money as well, so they're fine.
right, yeah, they'll be all right.
Yeah. So sucks to see for the truck series to have something like that happen in a super speedway, but life goes on. And also Nick Sanchez's father suspended from the rest of the season coming to races because he was attacking Matt Crafton as well. It's just like if a crew member was getting involved.
Sure,
So
Papa Bear jumped in,
yeah.
but you don't need the drivers getting attacked by strangers. So
Yeah.
yeah, take his hard card away for there's not even four races
I
left
think
in
they
the
got
truck series.
three races
Yeah,
because I
so
think they got Vegas, Homestead, and then
mm,
Phoenix.
that's, yeah, fine, whatever. Kick him
Yeah.
out.
Yeah. And then to end it with the fines for NASCAR, Chandler Smith was fined $10,000 for not having a helmet sock on under his helmet during Cup Series qualifying, which I mean, completely understandable. It's there for safety reasons. It is qualifying, but hell, anything can happen. So
They
just
caught him on an in-car camera, apparently, probably inadvertently, and
mhm.
it's who knows how that all
They
goes
just want to
down.
make an
Chandler Smith,
example out of
yeah,
him.
of course, it's fine. I'm sure he's unhappy about it, and I'm sure Chris Rice will cover it.
Oh yeah. In back colleague, he's got all that money, so no problem.
Exactly.
All right, buddy. Well, let's talk our Talladega review. The Truck Series kicked off the weekend for us, and we had Chase Purdy winning the pole for Kyle Busch Motorsports. And we had Nick Sanchez. We've seen this before with him, man. He shows a lot of speed early in these races, and he won stage one. Good for this guy, just collecting points, getting skill. But a guy who we thought would be having a much better year has just been down in the dumps, and now he's in a must-win situation. Zane Smith, God damn, this sucked for him. Coming down pit road, I think his brakes just locked up or something. He spun around and
Mm.
accidentally smacked into his tire changer. But this is a strong guy. He just got right back up and they kept changing the tires on the car. I will say,
It,
if that happened to me, I'd be in the hospital.
it looked so violent, and it
Mm-hmm.
turns out that this crew member does more damage to the truck than
Yeah.
than the truck does to him. So that's glad to see he's okay. He continued. He even did pit stops in the Cup Series race the next day for colleagues. So
It's great to see.
yeah, and yeah, I think whether he wasn't braking right, I think he popped the clutch on accident.
Mm-hmm.
Um, just the way that came around and whatnot. Because then we had the clutch issues later, which tells me that he did something with his transmission. But yeah, it's just so strong in the year, but nothing's guaranteed in racing or in NASCAR. So he's got to go out to Homestead and show what we're talking about. I mean, we talked about when we were talking Truck Series playoffs a few, like it's been probably a month or so now because the Truck Series playoffs are so spread out.
Right.
But we were talking about how unassuming all the playoff grid was, and it was pretty much set in stone who was going to get in there. We that was very ignorant of us, because if you'd have told me that Zane Smith's sitting in last in the round of 8, that's interesting. I'd be very
Yeah.
confused about all that. So yeah,
Very
he's
shocked with how this season went for him.
outside looking in, and he's got to go make something happen.
Yeah, but who would have thought hitting one of your crew members would completely screw over your entire race? Because he
Oh
was
man.
just slow. They had issues. He had to go behind the wall in the garage area and fix it. And I felt so bad for Zane Smith. I saw on Twitter during the race that they were interviewing this poor fucker while he was still sitting in his
Yeah.
car while they were fixing it. Like, oh, how's the race going? He's like, well, I'm just sitting here, losing points, losing laps. Like,
Mm-hmm.
what do you want me to fucking say? Like, that's just a total
No,
Fox moment right there, man.
a lot of Fox moments. From what I heard, glad I was sitting there in the trial wheel instead, taking
Yeah.
it in for myself. Again, ironic that they bring in a second truck at FRM to help push this guy around the track, and he doesn't even get to race for most of the race. So now you
Right.
just have this extra truck out there, probably going to get wrecked. Probably spent a lot of money to go throw this extra truck out there, and it's the purpose it's there is out of the race.
Mm-hmm.
It's just funny to me.
But big wreck for Stuart Friesen, Tyler Ankrum. They collided. Stuart Friesen was taken to the hospital after this wreck. He said that he squished his L2 and L3 vertebrae, which I mean isn't too bad if it's just squished, as long as it's not like punctured or bulging. He should be fine. But old boy said he was gonna race some dirt races this weekend, so he's still got it in him. It ain't gonna put him down.
I wouldn't recommend it, but
No, no way.
I'm not a real life race car driver. So
Yeah.
good for him. Glad he's feeling a little better. NASCAR will take a look at that truck and see if there's anything they can do to improve it, or see if it was just a fluke.
Yep, that's for sure. Parker Kligerman wins stage 2 for that 75 team. He's always stellar at these super speedways and the trucks. And then we had Bailey Curry and Tyler Hill collide, crashing on the backstretch after Grant Enfinger got loose. So those are guys that are looking at this track like thinking they're going to get a finish, but no, that's just calamity at Talladega.
It's Truck Series at Talladega. You're going to have people going for gaps that aren't there and
Mm-hmm.
misreading situations.
And then Jake Garcia, he had a great qualifying session, but he unfortunately wrecked out with Raja Karuth, another great guy who just two guys who really haven't been able to show a lot of speed with a lot of bad luck this season.
Yeah, it's they're here to learn, and they're learning the wrong way or the right way, whatever you want. But it's just it drew this race out more than anything.
Yeah, right. This really started to stretch out a little bit because then we got a big wreck on the front
Big one.
stretch that caused the fight with Nick Sanchez and Matt Crafton. It just seemed like Matt Crafton just got loose and just collected the field with him. Right in front of us on the tri-oval there, we had
Yeah.
a bunch of dirt and debris flying into our faces. We had to turn around just so we wouldn't
It's
breathe that shit in.
it was right in our lap. It was very interesting.
Mhm.
Um, I wouldn't. I almost said fun, but it's not fun because Greg Van Alst got a huge hit in that one.
Yeah, he was
Um,
also sent to the hospital.
yeah, to me it looked like they were just like two lanes trying to occupy the same part of the middle and whatnot. Crafton was holding his line, but Sanchez was getting pushed and whatnot, and he thought he could fit up the middle. It just didn't work. But it was getting out of crunch time in this race, and unfortunately took out a lot of trucks here.
Yeah.
But again,
No
no
one's fault.
reason, no reason to go sucker punch somebody allegedly.
Yeah.
Allegedly,
No one's fault, just a super
no,
speedway racing deal. I mean,
no. There was so much dust though. Holy cow!
yeah, that was
It's
pretty
more
wild.
dust than smoke. It was crazy.
Mm-hmm. All right. And buddy, you were saying it, they brought in that second FRM truck to help Zane Smith, but old Brett Moffitt, he just did it all by himself and he pushed himself up. He was dominant in that final
Mm-hmm.
stage, leading most of it, and got the win in the Truck Series. The 2018 Truck Series champion is back. It looked like he was having fun being back down in a competitive truck because he's been struggling a little bit in the Xfinity Series now. So, yeah, maybe this will be a ride for him. We know Zane Smith is leaving. Maybe this will open up something for Brett Moffitt.
Yeah, who knows? But also, if you're in the Xfinity series, why are you hunting in Truck Series?
Well,
Uh,
just look,
especially
look at the team he drives for. They are not competitive
right.
whatsoever. And
Yeah.
we know Brett
Yes,
Moffitt
but
is a great
mhm.
driver because he's driven equipment that wasn't even getting sponsored up in the Truck Series.
Yeah, and a win's a win. It's going to build your confidence and whatnot. And again, it's
Mhm.
going to build your resume, even if it's at a super speedway. But what was most interesting to me, we were there watching qualifying that day. They qualified very, very far down. That truck didn't seem to have much speed in it, so
Mhm.
FRM had to go to work on it during the race and bring it back together. And again, it was hard for anybody to pass them out there at the end. So good on them. Good on FRM. Shout
Yeah,
out FRM. I have my gear. They sent me shirts earlier in the year after the street race, and I got to watch them win in person. That was kind of cool.
there you go, man. Yeah, you were wearing all your gear too, so you were set.
I was all sponsored out. Boot
It was your
Barn,
first truck race as a
gloves,
FRM
yeah,
fan.
for sure. And I was not disappointed.
Hell
Even
yeah.
I called it on Saturday. I posted. I said this is an FRM Saturday, and again, without Matt Crafton punching Nick Sanchez in the face, the biggest storyline would have been Zane Smith crashing on the pits, ruining his day, and then FRM still coming across victorious. So it was
Mhm.
for sure was an FRM Saturday, just not for what we expected it to be.
Yeah, right. All right, so great race on Saturday. Let's talk the Cup Series race on Sunday, the Yellowwood 500. Eric Almirola won the pole. We know he is just stellar on these super speedways, so it doesn't surprise me whatsoever. And you and me,
Ford was fast in qualifying,
oh
just
yeah,
in general.
and
That was very interesting to see.
absolutely. And last week, you and me, we kind of made a prediction on the show of who we thought the first playoff drivers were going to be that were going to wreck out of this race. And you and me got it right in
Yeah,
the first
who'd have
opening
thought
laps.
we were both right? Last
Yeah.
lap of stage one, Ricky Stenhouse ran out of gas because he was sitting next to Dalton and me. He was driving in front of Kyle Busch the whole time, and we thought he was being way too aggressive. We were so nervous, and turns out they didn't get that car all the way full. Stumbles, runs out of gas, causes Ross Chastain, who you said was going to wreck out. His
Mhm.
day was over, and Christopher Bell, who I thought just from not his super speedway experiences this year, he had pretty good damage that they had to deal with all day. So
Yeah,
good
he
for
got
us.
tagged pretty well from that wreck.
Mhm.
Yeah, but yeah, pretty good prediction for us. I
We're
mean,
pretty smart analysts here. You should keep
yeah,
watching us.
Ross Chastain, shit don't surprise me. But hey, he didn't even cause it, so he's getting better. But Ryan Blaney won stage one, 10 points for him. And Brad Kozlowski won stage two. So guys that really needed points got them in the
Mhm.
opening stages of this race.
The playoff drivers in the stages were non-existent. You'd expect someone like Bubba Wallace be able to go out and capitalize on this day and finish in the top three of each stage and finish in the top three of the race. And he just couldn't pull anything together. Kyle Busch, again, was second in line to get stage points in stage one and has that incident, falls out of the top 10, damages his car, couldn't show up really in stage two. Nothing really reproduced anything. And again, couldn't get the finish at the end either. So these guys below the cut line, and especially after Kyle's stuff at Texas, he needed to perform, did not show up all day. And he was trying his butt off, and you could tell. But yeah, it was just, even all day, it was, you either, as a playoff person, you got points or you were way in the back. It was very interesting.
Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, we had I think it was like 75 lead changes throughout this race. Like there was just so much going on. We had basically three wide racing throughout this whole
Yeah.
thing. We saw it start at Daytona, and they're really starting to figure out this car at super speedways. So I'm not surprised that so many guys got shuffled out of so many different spots.
The argument there still is that they can't generate runs like they used to. So a lot of this three wide racing is just trying to get track position a little bit, but mostly saving fuel. But I'd rather they be saving fuel three wide than doing a snake along the outside wall. So
Yeah, that's for damn sure, buddy. We had a big fire on pit road. The 54 team accidentally left the gas can in while Ty Gibbs took off, fell off the car, and started the big old fire on pit road. I don't think I've ever seen anything like that happen.
yeah, it was super weird. We saw some really odd pit road incidences this weekend, both in the trucks and in the Cup Series. But again, it just sounds like he's anticipating on these fuel only stops. They got to make sure it's full. He's anticipating starting to roll out a little bit. And he hears them key into what he thinks is going to be go, and it's a wait or something, and he pulls off. He guns it. That fuel can can't disengage. And then as it's scraping down pit lane, you get sparks, and sparks and gas don't really mix all that well. So got a big reaction out of the crowd. I missed it again. I wasn't even watching.
Oh, you didn't even see it?
I mean, I saw the fire, but I didn't see it start. Again, you saw the Zane Smith thing. You're like, oh my God, look what just happened. And I just saw him turn sideways. And then I heard the crowd react, and I looked back over, and there's this inferno, and I was like, oh my God, what is that? Is that a guy? Is that a car? Luckily, it was just a gas can.
Right. Yeah. For some reason, with the Zane Smith one, I just for some reason was like, all right, I'm gonna watch Zane Smith's pit right here. I was just watching him, and I was like, oh my God, like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
I've never seen anything like that happen, but goddamn, dude, Talladega just brings out the craziness in NASCAR.
Right.
That's for damn sure.
For sure.
All right, and speaking of craziness, Denny Hamlin went a lap down after a pit penalty. And while he was getting lapped, he was trying to stay together with this group, and it looked like he was just causing a whole bunch of chaos. He got a lot of pissed off people on Twitter that he was replying back to, but hey, he's trying to get the lucky dog. He's trying to save his race.
Exactly. He's doing what he has to do.
But the kicker is he didn't even get the lucky dog from this fucking Carson Hocevar beat him out on the last lap.
So he was saying this in his podcast that he released yesterday. He was saying this whole situation made him race so much harder than he ever would like to in this situation. And again, we always hear Denny Hamlin kind of waiting out, showing up at the end of these super speedway races. But with this car, you can't really just show up at the end of the race like you want to. And let alone, he's got to be basically in the front of the pack to maintain that lucky dog position. Right. So it created something really intriguing. But he was told on his radio coming around to one lap to go in stage two that Hocevar, he was racing Hocevar and Cindric, and he was in front of Cindric, and he was told that Hocevar had dropped out of the pack. And for whatever reason, Hocevar got a run and was able to run around the outside off of 4 and inch past him at the line. And he said, I want to go look up this video if somebody has it, but he says, I didn't say anything on the radio, but in my in-car camera, you can just see my head going like this. Because he's just screaming profanities in the car
Oh
to
yeah.
himself. I wonder if it's like, if you can hear it in the onboard camera or something, but that would be something funny to go look for, a la Joey Logano at Pocono.
Yeah.
But yeah, it created this really intriguing side story to watch unfold during stage 3 for sure. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah,
And
that was
also, it was so funny sitting in the grandstands during stage 3, because anytime Denny would get up to like the front row, you'd have the fans like booing the shit and showing him the 11s and whatnot.
mhm.
And I was like, he's not even, he's a lap down. This is not the race lead. You all need to chill.
Yeah.
It's just goofy.
Well, if it makes you laugh, I don't know if you noticed, but during Cup qualifying, when Tyler Reddick came out, he had the McDonald's paint scheme. I saw these people that were kind of biased when Reddick was going by. They were flipping him off, and they were like, "Fuck you, Bubba!"
Well,
and I was like,
the
"That's
PA announcer,
Tyler."
the PA announcer was even confused. He kept calling Tyler's car Bubba's.
Yeah.
Granted, last year at the fall race, the 45 was Bubba.
Right. Yeah, that's true.
It's interesting more to me that we associate Bubba with McDonald's so much, and if it's ever on Tyler's car, we're like, that's Bubba.
Yeah,
That's
if
Bubba's
I
sponsor.
see
What are you doing?
a red and gray car now, I just think that's Bubba.
Yeah. So no, it's funny. The people down in Alabama were something else for sure.
Yeah, that's
a side note. That's a side note.
Yeah, just a sign. If you wanna hear what Tom has to think about it, check us out on Twitter.
I'm a big old city boy, so again, I had a little bit of culture shock.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't even call it shock. It was more of a, I hope this isn't how these people are.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah. It's Talladega, it's Alabama, buddy. It's, it's a lot different than the city of Chicago.
Passionate NASCAR fans out there.
Yeah. Even a hell of a lot different than Oklahoma City.
Yeah, you got that right. They're not NASCAR fans in Oklahoma.
Yeah, they don't even know who Christopher Bell is.
It's very true. It's very true.
All right, we had Brad Keselowski just pushing that 42 Carson Hocevar just a little too hard, got him loose and collected the 54 and the 3 and others as well.
Hard hits.
It's just a thing that you see with Brad Keselowski at super speedways. He is going to push you hard, and you better have control of this car, because we saw that with him and Harrison Burton last year, and now we're seeing it with him again this year, multiple different tracks. So that's Brad. He's going to push you.
What's interesting about this whole thing, because a lot of times if you're the car pushing the car that gets spun, you don't get anything out of it. You don't get caught up in the wreck, because that whole thing spun down to the inside and came back out and just slightly tagged him, which first of all, I think saved a lot of the hurt of Austin Dillon going headfirst in the wall, because Brad slowed him down a little bit.
Right.
I mean, we saw it at the last Daytona race when Christopher Bell turned Ryan Blaney, or I guess Ty Gibbs. Christopher Bell got through that fine.
Right.
Ryan Blaney went straight up into the wall, but Christopher Bell got through just fine. So it was interesting to see that little bumper tag that got played where everything went down. It came right back and just barely clipped him. Same issue that stopped Kyle Busch from finishing third in the Daytona 500.
Right.
No, that was a hard hit. They even had to red flag that one to repair the wall. So
yeah,
hopefully the safer barrier did its job. Hopefully we don't see too much medical news coming out for either the 3 or the 54 driver.
Yep, I'm kind of overhearing about concussions.
Yeah, because Ty Gibbs, it wasn't shown really on the replays at all, but his throttle was stuck or his brakes weren't working or something after he hit the outside wall and came back and smashed the inside wall as well, right in front of us. So he hit the wall in the tri-oval with Austin Dillon, but then he came back across the start-finish line and hit the wall again pretty dang hard.
Yeah, so, oh boy, he probably had his bell rung, that's for sure.
Yeah. Hopefully they take it easy and they're all right. But
yeah. All right, and then time to have my heart broke. Kevin Harvick was leading in these final laps. He was looking so strong, but Ryan Blaney had other plans, and Probably made one of the gutsiest moves I've ever seen. Didn't even get the okay from a spotter to make the move that he was clear to go on the inside of Kevin Harvick and take the lead and beat the 4 car in a photo finish, 12/100ths of a second, right? I believe it was.
Yeah.
But didn't even fucking matter. Kevin Harvick got disqualified for having loose windshield fasteners.
Which jury's still out on whether that was on purpose or not, but
Yeah, who knows?
it
I mean,
it
Rodney's
seems
had a
like
few tricks up his sleeve in the past, but
the industry has been like, okay, Rodney, we'll believe you that it wasn't on purpose, sure. But no, there's a video, somebody synced up the spotter audio on Blaney with his in-car dashboard camera. And you just got to go watch it. It's the last 7 laps. His spotter does a whale of a job directing him around that racetrack and talking him around the traffic, because Blaney was kind of all over the place in those first 6 spots through that last restart. Again, the thing I noticed the most on that video is when he made the move down the backstretch, he did not get cleared.
nope.
And he said it in his post-race interview. He just kind of felt it, and that's kind of what you need to do. The spotter's there to help you, but sometimes you just got to go with your gut. There's a chance that he spins himself across the front of that 24 car after making that move. But then the other baller move of that whole thing was the spotter, when they're coming on the final lap around turn 3 and 4, he's telling Blaney to back up to the 24 so he doesn't get clear of the 4, which does 2 things. The 24 can't pull out a line and start challenging Blaney for the win, but also it keeps a strong car behind you to push you to the win. Because for Ryan Blaney's standpoint, he needs that win a whole lot more than this guy in the 24 who won last week and already advanced.
Right.
So Blaney Byron get to go into the Roval without a care in the world. They can just go out and run. But it was a really interesting finish at the end. Denny Hamlin delivers on Twitter, edited out Kevin Harvick for us, and the photo finish, which I thought was funny. Got a good laugh out of that.
Yeah.
It sucks for Kevin, but like I said earlier, I feel like you would have been 12 times more upset
definitely
had he won by 12/1000ths of a second, just to have it all taken away.
That would have been a real kicker right in the nuts. That's for sure. I just got a notification from NASCAR on YouTube. They just uploaded like a YouTube short, and it's of the pit crew guy getting hit by Zane Smith's truck, and the caption is, "If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a truck."
Oh, all right. My favorite thing, if we can circle back to that, is when they interviewed him, Fox interviewed him after it happened. Again, this guy's carrying 2 tires, which are like 50 pounds each.
Yeah.
And he said, I thought I could clear it. Like this guy was going to be 100 pounds heavier and try to just jump over the whole truck. I thought that was a hilarious comment.
Yeah.
It just tells you he was in good spirits about it.
Oh yeah, definitely. So cool to see that for just pit crew guys. I mean, they're just strong motherfuckers. But buddy, it was a fun weekend at Talladega with you. We got to camp together. You were the camp chef. You did a great job at cooking brats. No, you did a great job.
We're not dead. We don't have food poisoning, so I think I did all right.
Yeah, we survived.
Had
a lot of fun.
Good food, good times, good racing. I really enjoyed everything about it. It was just so much fun to be there. A lot of walking.
We definitely got our steps in.
So yeah, it was incredible. I'm so glad I did it. I always get stressed out about these race weekends when I'm going and whatnot. And then like I had it when I went out to the Clash last year. I was so stressed out about the Chicago weekend. And it's just like, man, why do I get stressed out about these? Because they always turn out incredible. I should let my mind run wild and just be excited to go. Because it was just another great race weekend. Saw another great race. It was fantastic. And we saw Blaney do a burnout.
Yeah,
which
we got to see.
So
Blaney's first ever burnout in the NASCAR Cup Series. So that was pretty damn cool. I don't even know if he's done a burnout in the other series, but
I'm sure has somewhere. But his comment was classic about you don't see the jockey get off the Kentucky Derby winner and start beating the shit out of it. Oh my God. It's beautiful. The perfect response. And it makes me like Blaney more.
Oh yeah.
And I don't like Penske at all. So Blaney, quit making me like you. You better
Right?
stop. You better stop. It was cool. And again, we were sitting right at the finish line. I got a great video of the finish.
Oh,
It was
you got like
awesome
the
with
best video.
with everything, and it was so cool to see all that stuff play out. Just everything. Again, I could go on and on, but you don't want to hear me ramble. We're already probably too far into it.
Yeah, but man, all I know is I had a great weekend with you at the track. I'm glad that I got to show you the ropes. I'm glad we got to hang out with a lot of cool people too.
Yeah, met a lot of fun folks out there. You nailed the drive there and back. It's 11 and change hours each way. He didn't even need a call for his reserve driver. So
hey man, that's what I do. I'm fine with long drives. I've done almost 14 hours of Martinsville, so basically at this point I'll do anything under 15. After that point, I'm gonna get a hotel or I'm flying.
You're driving to Phoenix, right?
No way, man. No. I already got the Daytona 500 on my radar. I'm not gonna do 2 races in a row where I gotta fly to.
Definitely our last races of the year. I expected to go to 1 race this year, and that was because I had family in Chicago. Didn't expect to move to Chicago. Didn't expect to drive to Michigan on a Monday. Did not expect to be going to Talladega anywhere close in the near future. But here I am coming home from an incredible Talladega weekend.
Hell yeah, man. Well, we got plenty more races in the future. That's for sure, man. It's only just getting started. Hope you know that.
Great. Bring it on.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning into the Stock Car Spectacle. Make sure to comment down below what you thought about Talladega, how crazy it was, and make sure to like our video and subscribe to our channel. And you can find us on Twitter and Instagram. So for the Stock Car Spectacle, I'm Ian Jortson.
I'm Tom Hoblin.
We'll see you guys next time.